there is a version of your professional life that you have been glimpsing in the quiet moments, not daydreaming exactly, something more grounded than that, something that feels less like fantasy and more like a preview, a brief, clear, almost uncomfortably real sense of what is possible for you, of what your work and your talent and your specific, irreplaceable way of operating in a professional space could produce if the right circumstances aligned with the right timing and the right level of recognition from the right people. That preview is about to become a reality. And I want to walk you through exactly why and exactly what form this is taking, because what came through for you today in the realm of career and money is not vague or general or applicable to anyone who happens to be having a hard week professionally. It is specific to you, to the particular combination of gifts you bring to the specific season of your professional journey that you are currently in, and to the very real, very imminent shift that is building toward a moment that I am going to describe as simply and as honestly as I can. You are about to win big in your career and in your finances. And the nature of this win is going to confirm something that you have suspected about yourself for a long time, but that the external world has not always reflected back to you with the clarity it deserves. You are in a league of your own. Let me start by speaking to where you have been professionally, because the context of this win matters enormously to understanding its full significance. You have been in a period of doing quietly, consistently, often without the visibility or the recognition that the quality of your work actually merited. A period where the effort you were putting in was real and sustained and of a genuinely high standard, but where the returns on that effort were not always proportional, where the gap between what you were contributing and what you were receiving in exchange for that contribution, whether in compensation, in acknowledgement, in opportunities, in the simple experience of being valued at the level you actually operate at, has been present and noticeable. This gap has been frustrating. I want to name that directly because I think it is important to acknowledge the reality of your experience rather than simply rushing past it to get to the good news. Being someone who brings exceptional quality to their work and who is not always recognized for it is not a small thing to navigate. It requires a specific kind of patience, the kind that is costly, the kind that asks you to keep showing up, keep bringing the same standard, keep believing in the value of what you do, even when the feedback from your environment suggests that your value is not fully registered. You have been practicing that patience, and the patience is about to pay off in a way that makes the cost of it worth it. I want to speak to what is actually happening beneath the surface of your professional world right now, because the shift that is coming has been building in ways that you may not have full visibility into. There are conversations happening about you in professional spaces among people who have either direct or indirect influence over what becomes available to you. And the quality of those conversations is not the casual, peripheral quality of someone being mentioned in passing. It is the focused, specific, deliberate quality of people who are actively thinking about what to do with their awareness of your talent. Someone or a group of people has been paying attention to what you do, to how you do it, to the specific qualities you bring that are not simply competent or reliable, both of which you are, but that go beyond competence into something that is harder to find and therefore more valuable when it is found. They are trying to figure out how to bring you closer to them, how to access what you offer in a more direct, more formal, more mutually beneficial way than what currently exists. And the figuring out is reaching the point of decision. Let me describe the nature of this incoming win more specifically, because it comes in different forms for different Virgos, and I want to make sure you can locate yourself in this reading. For some of you, this is a financial increase, significant and relatively sudden, in the sense of not being the gradual, incremental kind of increase that comes from standard progression. Something that arrives through a negotiation, an offer, a decision made by someone with the authority to make it, that changes your financial reality in a way that feels like a genuine before and after moment. For others, this is an opportunity, a door opening into something that represents a step change rather than a step forward. The difference between these two things matters. A step forward is simply more of the same trajectory. A step change is an entry into a different level entirely. What is opening for you has the quality of a step change, a change in the category of what is available to you professionally, not just the quantity of it. For still others, this win manifests as recognition. The specific, public, undeniable acknowledgement of your contributions in a way that creates a new baseline for how you are perceived and valued in your professional world. Something that puts your name and your work in front of people who did not previously have full visibility into what you bring. And for some of you, this is a combination of all three: financial increase, new opportunity, and recognition arriving close together, each one feeding into and amplifying the others. Does this feel like it is connecting to something that has been building in your professional life, Virgo? Have you sensed that something is shifting, that people are noticing things in a different way, that the quality of attention being directed at your work has a different quality than it used to? Let me know in the comments. I want to know how this is landing for you. I want to speak now to the League of Your Own Peace, because this is the phrase that came through with the most force, and I think it is the most important thing in this reading for you to genuinely receive. Being in a league of your own is not simply being good at what you do. There are many people who are good at what they do. Being in a league of your own means bringing a combination of qualities to your work that does not have a readily available comparison point. That when people try to evaluate you, try to position you relative to others they have encountered in similar roles or similar fields, they find that the comparison does not quite work, that you do not fit neatly into the categories they would normally use, because what you bring is not something those categories were designed to accommodate. Let me be specific about what creates this quality in you. It is the Virgo mind applied to professional work. The specific way you approach problems, which is simultaneously analytical and intuitive, simultaneously rigorous in its attention to detail, and capable of holding the larger picture without losing the details. Most people are either detail-oriented or big-picture thinkers. You operate at both levels simultaneously, shifting between them with a fluency that people who work with you notice even when they cannot fully articulate what makes you different. It is the standard you hold yourself to, which is not the standard of doing enough to meet expectations. It is the standard of doing the thing the right way, completely, without the corners that most people cut, because cutting corners is easier and the corners are usually not noticed. You notice the corners. You notice them in others' work, and you cannot bring yourself to leave them in your own, This creates a quality in everything you produce that people feel even when they cannot name it. It is the way you handle complexity, the specific, almost elegant way you move through complicated situations without losing your footing. Where others become reactive or overwhelmed or resort to simplified responses that do not actually address the complexity, you remain present with it. You work through it. You arrive at solutions that actually fit the problem rather than solutions that fit the template. And it is the combination of all of these things in one person, which is not something people encounter every day, which is in fact something they notice the absence of once they have experienced its presence. Which is why the people who have been paying attention to your work are now in the process of figuring out how to keep you closer. Inhale. Let me speak to something that I feel is important to address in the context of this reading, because receiving the message that you are in a league of your own, that a big win is incoming, that your professional and financial landscape is about to shift significantly, can produce a complicated response in someone who has not always been on the receiving end of this level of recognition. Part of you might want to believe this completely, immediately, without reservation. The part that knows its own worth, that has always known it, that has simply been waiting for the external world to catch up to what it already understood internally. And part of you might resist it, might find reasons to be cautious, might apply the protective skepticism of someone who has been in situations before where things seemed to be moving in a positive direction and then did not, who has learned through experience not to count things before they arrive. I want to speak to both of these parts of you. To the first, I say, yes, receive this. It is real. Let yourself feel the full anticipation of what is coming without immediately tempering it. To the second, I say, the caution is not wrong. It has served you. But I want to suggest that the level of caution you apply be proportional to the evidence. And the evidence in this reading is not the thin, hope-based evidence that warrants significant skepticism. It is specific. It is grounded in what is actually happening in your professional world right now. It deserves more than maximum caution. Give yourself permission to let this land, not naively, but fully. I want to speak to what you might need to do in order to receive this win when it arrives, because I do not want to leave you simply waiting passively for something external to happen. There is a preparation that is required, not a dramatic one, not a reinventing of yourself or a major strategic pivot or anything that asks you to be different than you already are. The preparation is simpler and in some ways more challenging than any of those things. It is the preparation of believing at the level of your daily lived experience rather than just intellectually that you are worth what is about to be offered, that the recognition coming your way is not an accident or an error or something that will be discovered to be misplaced once people look more closely. That the financial shift approaching reflects your actual value rather than being something you need to feel grateful for as though it exceeds what you deserve. The practical expression of this preparation is in how you speak about your work and your abilities when given the opportunity. In professional conversations, in the moments where what you bring might be described or evaluated, let yourself speak from the position of someone who knows their own worth clearly, without false modesty and without overcompensation, simply clearly, simply accurately. The people who are preparing to offer you something significant need to see this clarity from you, not arrogance, clarity, the specific, grounded Virgo precision of someone who knows exactly what they bring and is comfortable with others knowing it too. Let me speak to the financial dimension of this in a more grounded way, because I want this reading to have practical legs and not just emotional resonance. Money is moving toward you through your professional work. Not money that arrives despite your work or separate from it, but money that is a direct expression of what your work is actually worth being properly valued for what it actually is. This is an important distinction, because money that arrives despite your work can feel arbitrary. Money that arrives as an accurate reflection of your work feels like justice. What is coming carries that quality of justice, of a ledger that has been out of balance for a while, finally being corrected, of the gap between your contribution and your compensation finally being addressed in a way that acknowledges the gap honestly rather than managing around it. How significant this is financially is going to depend on your specific situation, but the quality of the shift is consistent across what I am feeling. It is not incremental. It is the kind of shift that changes the category of your financial life rather than simply improving the numbers within the current category. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to speak to what this win represents in the larger arc of your life and your career. You have been building something through all the quiet, consistent, sometimes frustrating work of the period that has preceded this. Through all the maintaining of your standard, even when the environment did not reward it. Through all the patient, determined, deeply Virgo commitment to doing the thing right, even when doing it right was harder and less immediately rewarding than doing it adequately would have been. You have been building evidence. Evidence of who you are professionally, evidence of what you bring, evidence that accumulates piece by piece, observation by observation, in the minds of the people who have been paying attention, until it reaches a critical mass. That critical mass has been reached, the evidence is complete, the conclusion, the one that you have known about yourself for a long time and that the world is now arriving at, is being drawn. You are in a league of your own. And the big win that is incoming is not luck. It is not an accident. It is not someone doing you a favor. It is the natural, inevitable, perfectly timed consequence of evidence meeting recognition. You built this through your work, your standard, your patience, your commitment to excellence that never wavered even when the environment around you suggested that excellence was not the thing being valued. It was always being valued by the people who mattered, and they are about to show you just how much. If this reading resonated with you today, please share it with a Virgo who needs to feel this energy right now, and leave me a comment below. Tell me what area of your professional life you feel this incoming win is most connected to. Tell me how long you have been doing the quiet, consistent work that this reading is describing. Tell me how it feels to hear that it has been seen. I read every single word you share. Every story matters to me, and I carry your energy with care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, stay at your standard. The world is catching up to it, and when it does, it is going to be everything you knew it could be. You are in a league of your own, and the league finally knows it.